Hello, and welcome to Journeys in Transformation Analytics. I am Amaresh Tripathy. I run the analytics business for Genpact. And in this series, a series of 3 that we normally do, I have a wonderful, wonderful expert and a great partner joining me, Francesco Rulli, who is the CEO and founder of an artificial intelligence company called Querlo. Among other things, he's a partner at Forbes, and actually probably the even most important or most fascinating thing, that at least I find, he's the chief digital officer of the Duomo at Florence, and we'll talk about all of that. Francesco, welcome.
Thank you very much, Amaresh.
Sure. Francesco, one of the things we've been chatting about has been how is the role of consumption of data and insights. I mean, there's a lot of focus around how do you kind of go and do deep learning, how do you do fascinating work from organizing the data, put it on data lakes. We don't seem to talk a lot about how actually that data and information is consumed by the end users. And what I really find about Querlo and you is you've spent a ton of time thinking about that. So do you want to talk a little bit about how is the information consumption has evolved over the years as you've been in the space?
Okay, so we launched our company back in 2015 for a social responsibility purpose to communicate and educate young women in Afghanistan. And we were in a different business. So we were in the film distribution business. And then we found ourselves building extremely interesting chatbots and starting actually working also for profit with organizations like banks, pharmaceutical companies. And to be frank with you, back in 2015, most of our clients, and I don't want to make names, used our technology as a shiny object, as a communication tool to collect information, but really not make best use of the information. So a lot of those initial projects had a short life or a long build life and a short remuneration, let's say. So, you know, that was extremely frustrating. So we kind of like realized that unless we find clients that have a very clear strategy and path on using the data, on developing advanced analytics, dashboards that make sense, and also the output of the data collected being tailored to their needs, it wasn't going to be a very good business. Yes, you can make some money fairly fast building a solution, but then a solution will not last long because it's not being built for the right purpose. So today, I have to say, our goal is always to build a conversational artificial intelligence to provide the best business intelligence or analytics that a client can need.
So the 2 things you told, Francesco, was really interesting. Number 1 is you actually always saw this as a product, and not all analytics efforts are they're seen as more like projects rather than products. So that's really fascinating that you thought about, you have a very product mindset of how you do it. And secondly, the other aspect of it, like from crystal reports dashboard to kind of Tableau dashboards, and we're talking about conversational AI. I mean, in some ways, kind of you just said, okay, this is how conversational AI, and in some ways, because you came in with a different background and a perspective, you just went straight into how information is being used. Can you talk a little bit about, as you see these 2 trends, how is that going to evolve? Is it going to be, are we going to see dashboards? Are we going to, or is it going to be all chatbots? How do you see the world of consumption of information evolve?
Well, in our specific case, we see companies have several enterprise solutions, and they scatter their energy into implementing and educating employees into using several different enterprise solutions. The chatbot could be a unifying point of reference where each person within the company can both access information as well as deliver information. So the same chatbot that, for example, allows HR to notify, let's say, to inform the employees about their leave time, to inform their employees about the new trainings, everything related to HR, can also communicate with a marketing platform so that the same employee, if they have a marketing event, can actually access logos or policies, best practices, and so on. So we are basically, as conversational artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence for communication purpose, and also to unify the different platforms. Then each one of those platforms usually has its own dashboard. Each one of these platforms have its own complexity about accessing the data. So now the question is, shall I ask the executive to learn how to access 3, 4, 5, 7 different platforms, or we just combine all this data going into one chatbot that will deliver a unified, or at least will give them a portal into those dashboards informations that is unified without the constant going crazy about remembering how you do this and that and how you match data. Okay, you know, and COVID-19 has been you know, a very strong motivation for this to happen, because now suddenly everybody has to work remotely, right? And there is now really someone within the department that can help you on something you forget. So providing this type of tools, both to access and to the data, but also to provide insights, is very important.
Lovely, lovely. So what wonderful, good, great insights. I mean, the whole point around remote work and self-service of the capabilities of any of the, how you would think about information retrieval, but also about this fascinating vision that you have around all these different systems, the unifying, rather than unifying in the back end, just unifying in the front end with some of the chatbots. That's fabulous. We'll continue this conversation, Francesco, as we move forward. But thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Very appreciated.